Hi students, this is Heather Hammond-Williams and I'm doing a video on chapter reflections to help students with the points. So chapter reflections, we're going to have one for every chapter. However, for students, we only need to pick 8. So you have to pick 8, go through them. I have all the questions already posted so you can go through and pick which ones kind of interest you more. But you have to do 8 of them to be successful in the class. Part A is really responding to the specific question that I provide. So each question has specific, each chapter has a specific question that you're going to respond to, and that's going to be worth 10 points. So some of the samples, like the first one was the 5 basic steps of the scientific method. And then the second one is you get to pick a theory and you get to talk about the different stages that there is, how does it contribute to society or contribute to society. And they just keep going. Let's just see what the next one is. Discuss language development, include statistics, research findings, strategies. Like, they all have different ones. It's going to be designed about the chapter. So with part A, you have to post this by Friday. That's due that week of the chapter. All of it's in the module that will help you for that week. If you post after Fridays, that is fine, but I'm going to deduct a few points from you. Let's kind of go over like a sample. This is a sample from another class, but it could still help this class too. So this was the question for this assignment, for this chapter reflection, and this was the student's actual response. This student was an overachiever, so gave me a lot of detail, so this is just how it is. The thing about these responses, part A needs to be at least a page to 2-page response in a Word document. You can copy and paste that, put it in the discussion forum, however you want to do that. You can upload the attachment. I give you samples and directions on the discussion post, but you really need to give me detail. You need to explain your thoughts. I want you to cite an APA, which we're going to go over in a minute. I want you to give me key terms that's going to be addressed in the chapter. I really want to hear your thoughts. So make sure you're answering the whole question so you can get as much points as you want. Now, to go over some APA, so I want you to look at this little pink highlighted part. I have, word by word instructions over here too to help. But see how furniture has the quotation marks, and then at the end the safety has the quotation marks. That's very important. So this means that this is a direct quote. A direct quote means that you're taking it straight from the textbook. You do not want direct quotes to be more than a sentence. Now we're starting to move more into this isn't fully your work. You're kind of taking too much from the textbook. You can cite throughout, but you're not going to cite back to back. So I'm not going to say quote here and then start this like avoiding. I want to start that with another quote. That's quoting back to back, and you wouldn't want to do that. Why you don't want to do that is because you need to explain the quote too. You're not just putting it there and be like magical, like here you go. You really need to explain what the quote meant to you and why you're kind of putting there. That helps you kind of reference, does this belong here too? So with this quote, it's a direct quote. So you would cite, how do you do that? You do the little parentheses sign right here. Notice there's no period right here after safety. That's really an important thing with APA also, no punctuation right here. You're going to have the author's last name. So this one has multiple authors. You're going to put it in the order that the textbook says. But for our author, it's only Berger. So you're going to put Berger and you're going to put that comma, which is very important, and you're going to put the year that it's published. So the 11th edition is 2018. If you're using 2010, that's fine. If you're using something older, that's fine too. Just make sure you're putting the right year, because that's going to help me know which edition you're going to do. Then you're going to have another comma, and then you're going to put a P with a period, which is going to be the page number, and you're going to put the exact page number you got it from. Then you're going to put that parentheses, and then that's where, after parentheses, is that magical period right there. So this period's here, not over here. So that's what we call a direct quote. A direct quote is verbatim from the textbook. Now, this other highlighted part over here, this is what we call a paraphrase. A paraphrase is when you are using the textbook material or another source and you're putting in your own words. So this student put it in their own words. You still would cite the information because, unfortunately, you didn't come up with it. The textbook did. So with a paraphrase, you wouldn't have direct quotes, so the quotations wouldn't be there. That's what tells me it's a paraphrase. And then you would have to cite your source. So here, again, this is not our textbook, but you would have burger, and then a comma, and then the year. So if you're using the current edition, it's going to be 2018. You would have that parentheses, and then you'd have that period. That period's important. So if we're looking at this particular paraphrase, see safe, the last word of the sentence, does not have a period. It's going to be down here after the parentheses. So that's what we call a paraphrase. You need to support your work, your thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts too. You can put personal experiences, personal stories into it. Don't spend, that's not going to be your whole paper. You need to put more factual information than your own thoughts, but you can connect it to something you've experienced. And then at the end of your post on part A, you're going to have what we call a reference. So I'm like, did you reference it? At the bottom of the post, you're going to put, it's very similar to an APA reference page. You're going to have the author's last name. This one has multiple, but it would just be Berger, comma, and then you put the first initial. She does have a middle name. So I have it, actually let me pull this over here because I need to see it better. So Berger, comma, K dot, S dot. These are important to be uppercase. Then you're going to have the parentheses. You're going to put the year. So if you're using the 11th edition, you're putting 2018. Another parentheses, and then you're going to put that period. Then you're going to put the developing through childhood and adolescence. That's the title. The title on a textbook is going to be italicized. So make sure you're italicizing it. And then you're going to put the 11th edition. With the title also, really note that the first letter is going to be capitalized, but the rest are not. Unless there's these lovely things, like if we look at this one over here, see that lovely little two dots right there? Then that P is going to be capitalized. But that's the only time you would capitalize on a title besides the first word. And then you're going to put the 11th edition, just like that, the parentheses, and then you need to put the location where it's published at and the publisher. So that would be our sample. So you're going to be doing 1 to 2 pages. You need to cite an APA, really answer the questions. And then for part B is responding to a classmate. When you respond to a classmate, it's important that you're giving detail. You're not saying like, hey, cool post, tell me why you thought it was cool, what was good about the post is going to be very important. This response is going to be about a paragraph, if not longer. I really want you to connect to the classmate. If you're supporting it and you think like this was great, you can do that. Or, I'm trying to pull up the. Or you can talk about disagreements or something, that you didn't find in your guys' source. So maybe the textbook said something different or whatever. You have to be respectful though. That's the key thing about it. You can always have different opinions, but be respectful. But pull key things out of the response. You do need to cite your textbook or lecture, whichever one you're using, in the Part B post too. And it has to be an APA. So this is very important to get all your points. So chapter reflections are 15 points, Part A is 10, and Part B is 5. And this is going to be how to be successful in a chapter reflection. I have the sample and the modules to help you to look forward to all the things that we're trying to do to get all those points, because points are most important. And I hope that this video helps you with your chapter reflections and in the future. Sorry, it's kind of wiggly. I forgot my little thing to hold it up. So please feel free to send me any messages if you have any questions about chapter reflections.